Hey, welcome back. All right, so there's two editors you could use for writing Go code. One is WebStorm and one is Atom. This video is really going to be about how to use WebStorm and some of the things that I found really effective with it. And you can see my slides for Atom. I've got 61 slides here, and only 3 of them cover Atom. I don't use Atom. I've used it a little bit, right? But it's made by GitHub, which is awesome. And to use Atom and Go, you have to install the Go Plus plugin package, whatever you want to call it. And it's a really strong argument that this is made by GitHub. But there's a lot of stuff that I really like about WebStorm. So WebStorm's made by JetBrains, and JetBrains also makes IntelliJ, and IntelliJ is what Android Studio uses. And it's built off of IntelliJ. And a year ago, Google switched from Eclipse, and this is an Android story. They switched from Eclipse for Android, using Eclipse to do Android programming, to IntelliJ. And that was a really big switch for them. To do something like that is pretty significant. And so they were impressed enough with what you could do with IntelliJ to say, look, let's go ahead and do this big switch because it's going to be better. And I taught Android programming in the spring, and because of that, I just sort of committed myself to JetBrains, and also because Google really endorsed it by creating Android Studio off of it. So did a lot of IntelliJ, but WebStorm is also very similar to IntelliJ. Sort of like once you learn Microsoft Word, the interface for Word is pretty similar to Excel, and you can learn the rest of the stuff. So WebStorm, IntelliJ, made by the same company. And there's a lot of really good functionality. So sometimes people write code, it's a text editor, and there's not much assistance, right? You could just do it straight up in a basic text editor, Notepad or something, and you get 0 assistance. But an integrated development environment, an IDE, is going to give you a lot of assistance, like code completion, tips, suggestions. Things. And so these are the things I like about WebStorm. When you first, and this is how you use it with Go. So when you first go into WebStorm, you see this screen, and then I click on plugins there in the bottom right. Let me just make this a big screen. And again, hey, all these slides are available for you step by step. So I click on plugins, and then here are my plugin settings. So the more you have checked, it's got to load that code and process when you're working. So the more you have checked, the more resources it takes, the longer it takes to load. And so uncheck the stuff you're not using. So here are my 3 screens of checks, right? And you can see what I have checked. And so basically it's all the web development stuff. And you could just check the same things as me. And then once that's all done, I had a couple of different checks in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Wow, I thought it was 3. And then you need the GOLANG plugin, and that's the link for getting the plugin to make GOLANG work with WebStorm. And so you go to this web page when you follow that link, and you got a link in the bottom right, highlighted in red, show all updates. And when you click that, it's going to show you all the updates, and it'll show you the most recent one at the top. So just download the most recent one, because I found the most recent one works the best. And then once you've downloaded that, you go back to this screen with your plugins, and you say, I want to install my plugin from disk. And then you click once you've done that, you've installed it from disk, you're now ready to open a project in WebStorm, right? So you got the GOLANG plugin installed, you're ready to open a project in WebStorm. Questions to this point? Straightforward, right?
Just one question. WebStorm is strictly just for Mac?
No, you got it Mac or Windows. And Windows, it's a very similar process, slightly different. Very similar.
Could you make Android apps with that?
With Go and
with WebStorm.
With WebStorm?
Like use Java with that, and then use it to somehow make Android apps. No, that won't happen.
Just go over to Android Studio, because that's really built for that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very similar to IntelliJ.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Ready? So open, and now I'm going to create a new folder. So you can see I'm in WebStorm up at the top left, and I'm in my workspace Go source, GitHub goes to 11, and I'm creating a new folder. I'm calling it Hello. right? And so there's my hello folder. And now I've opened that hello folder there in WebStorm. You can see that in the top left, project hello, you know. And so now I'm going to go into WebStorm and choose preferences. And when I'm inside preferences, I want to go down to this area here under languages and choose Go and Go SDK. And I want to make sure my path is pointing to where my Go SDK is installed. And who knows what SDK stands for? Raise your hand.
Something development kit.
Software development kit.
Software
Yeah.
development
So it's basically, you know, the source code for the Go language, which you'll be using, right? And then all the stuff it needs to run and compile and everything. So we set the path there. And you could change the theme inside WebStorm by going to this URL. And when you go to that URL, you could choose a theme like, I don't know, you know, what you want it to look like. And then you install the theme by following the instructions right there. And so basically, right here, I'm going to import settings. I don't know what that jump was. Yeah, all right, so here's let me just show you the themes. They're kind of nice to look at. So different themes, right? What do you want your code to look like? And then you install the themes, you follow the directions there. And to do that, you have to go to import settings, and then you import that theme that you downloaded, and then your code will look like that theme. There's also this cool feature called Live Edit, and you know, there's the link to the WebStorm instructions, JetBrains instructions for Live Edit, and you have to go in and enable Live Edit in your plugins, right? So we already saw that, so just make sure that that one's enabled. And then you go and you download the Chrome extension, JetBrains IDE support, or the Chrome. What are these called? Plugins? What are they?
Extensions.
Extensions, yeah. So add it to Chrome. And then you go into build, execute, deploy, and under debugger, there's a thing called Live Edit, and then there are my settings, right? And literally, like what I'm showing you here in like 4 minutes, and which you'll be able to set up in 10, is like a couple of hours of like reading and banging around, and cool, it's finally working. And then once you've done all that, you go back into, you know, just whatever your code where you're working. And I created a temp HTML file, and at the top right, you click that little down arrow and you choose Edit Configurations, and then you get this dialog box, and then you choose JavaScript Debug. You add a configuration in JavaScript Debugger. And then you need a URL there, and it's like, what URL do I need? Well, close that window, and then once you're inside there, you come over here to the top right and move your cursor up to the top right of your HTML code, and you get these little browsers which magically appear, and choose Chrome because that's the one that has the plugin, and it's gonna show you your page in Chrome, right, that you're writing. So here's the HTML page, and here's the page in Chrome. And it gave me a URL, so I copy that URL, you know, and that's the URL I copy. And then I come back in here to edit my configurations, and I pop that into the URL box. And now, instead of going up in the top right corner and hitting play or choosing one of the Chrome browsers, I just hit that little bug, and that's the debugger, and it will now debug. So what does live debugging do? So let's just see that, and I'll just create a new file here, an HTML file, and I'm going to call it temporary, and then give it some content, and then I'm going to set up a debugger. So the first thing would be go to File, WebStorm Preferences, and go into my plugins, which, you know, if I don't remember where they are, there's a little search area up the top, so I could do plugin. Oh, hey, there are plugins, right? So it took me to plugins right there. And I could come down here and say, okay, is Live Edit installed? And there's Live Edit. All right, great, it's checked. And so now the next step is I want to come to this drop-down arrow and choose Edit Configurations. And I'm going to click this plus and add a new JavaScript debugger configuration. And this one is, you know, web building, or whatever you want to call it. And I changed that for some reason. Never mind. And then, oh dang, I need that URL. And so then I'm going to come up here and I cancel that dialog box and hit the Chrome icon. Oh, cool, there's my web page. And so I copy that URL. And then come back into WebStorm and then choose my edit configurations again. And I got to start all over and because I canceled it. And I'll call this one Web Building. And then paste the URL in there. And then that's it. Hit OK. And so now I could hit this bug here. And all right, well, it looks like the same thing, but it's connected. So as I change my code, and some of you have seen this already, because it is awesome, and once I learned it, I couldn't stop showing people. Right? Once I have my code there.
No way. That's awesome.
And if I start writing, you know,
So much better than your movie.
Excuse my ignorance on this, but like, so is Go mostly for web programming or what?
What application?
so yeah, we covered that a little bit. There was a way that I had this work in here when I changed these colors, but it's not doing that. But anyhow, so totally awesome, dude. Have two screens, hooking their monitor up, right? I'm building my page, and as I change code, oh, that's how it's affecting it. That's how it's affecting it. A little bit more this way, a little bit different color. Cool, that's looking good. It's really nice. All right, so what was your question? Somebody asked a question.
What is like the primary use for Go? Is it just mostly web development? 'Cause there's not really a user interface.
So that was a little bit, that was Tuesday, and you can just check this out, this presentation. But here they are. Web apps, scripts, system admin, image processing, load balancer servers, crypto hardware, Android, and iOS. You can do all that with Go. But it's really, you know, multiple cores, distributed, concurrent, performant. So anything that you want that. It's low level, it's compiled, goes straight down to binary, right? It's very fast. It's very good. All right, so that's live edit. And some other things which are really good to know about WebStorm is the key map. And so if you go up to your help menu, you have default key map reference. And that brings up, which I don't have a picture of. I guess you could go look at it on your own. But here it brings up default key map reference. And I have some slides of this actually later. But it tells you all the shortcuts and all the different things that can be done. So maybe I want to like move a line of code. So I could Command F just to find within, you know, PDF. And I could do line. And then it's highlighting all the lines. And then I could look and I could be like, okay, here's some stuff about lines. And start, duplicate, copy, cut, indent, auto indent, comment, uncomment, go to line. Maybe it's over on this side. Inline variable. I didn't find it with line. So let me see if I find it with move. Add move gray, move to code, move F6. I kind of wish I want to pause the video so I can totally find this and show it to you. Huh?
What are we looking for?
This is what I want to show you. So when I'm in my code, it's tweaking right now a little bit. There we go. When I'm in my code, let's say I had UL, LI.
Got 2 L's there.
Thank you. Let's say I had this and I realized, oh, you know, I'd really rather have that up top. So you can move lines of code, and that's a Option Shift arrow. And so Option Shift up and down arrow And the option keys are right here. It shows you option is that little symbol, and shift is that little symbol. So if I look for option shift, and option is that little symbol, option shift. Anyhow, I found it because I was just reading through it. Or maybe that's not listed. That's not one of those ones listed here. But I totally love that one. But this gives you a lot of the keyboard shortcuts. That's the point of that slide, even though I can't find the thing I want to show you. So these are things I have found helpful with WebStorm. Going into the preferences, or whatever, what is it called here, WebStorm preferences, and you have that search box right up there, and you could search for stuff. And so there's the search box. I'm in preferences, and I found right margin, that setting really helpful, setting it to 80, because that's pretty much what a lot of people want. Don't write your code past 80 lines. And then wrap, right? Wrap when typing reaches, I don't know why I have that right there. That should be pointing to here.
But you can do is it a soft wrap, which just wraps whatever the size
Yeah,
of the window is?
so wrap when typing reaches right margin, you could set that, and you could also use soft wraps. And so again, I'm still just searching for wrap and looking at the options that came up on the left. So I could use soft wraps, and then I don't like code folding, which is like, let me condense your code, and then you have to click a little plus. I just want to see all my code. So I turn code folding pretty much off for everything, but I show code folding in the outline in case for some reason it popped up again. I could unplus things.
Is Emmet built into WebStorm?
Emmet's preference, I think. So we could look real quick.
I think it's a little plugin that you install.
I think it comes though already in. I think it's just already in.
Oh no, it's Sublime that you have to do
Yeah.
the plugin. Yeah.
But I think in WebStorm it's already
Emmet
there.
is just search Emmet. There we go. Emmet's right there under editor, so it's already in there. So you could adjust how your HTML is displayed. This is actually kind of, Zen exercise in solving a puzzle in itself. But, you just go in and play with the different settings to get it to look the way you want. Sometimes I've been like, I don't know how to stop it from doing that. There's Emmet right there. Totally helpful. Show line numbers. Totally helpful. Just right-click the gutter right there. Down here, this is something that's really good to know about, that little thing. You could click that thing in the bottom left corner, and you get options like terminal and stuff like that. And so you can have your terminal right here, so you could run commands, and it starts out in whatever project you've opened, so you're closer to whatever folder you might need to run a command in. There's local history, so if you go, I think it's File, so every folder has a history, and you could show the history, and once you show the history, you could say, oh, go back 4 commands and undo that, and that file I deleted, it comes back, right? Undo that, delete. So they have folder history it's keeping track of, which is cool. There's a refactor, for renaming things, totally useful. And find in path will find any code anywhere in the path. So if you download all of the GitHub code for a summer boot camp, and then you're like, hey, I totally want to find some example that does UUID, then I could do like that thing where I go to edit, find in path, and there's the keyboard shortcut. So Command Shift F, right, or this, and then I could search for UUID, and I could look in the whole project and find, and then okay, here are the different files where UUID is used, and I could go look at that. So I found that to be helpful. Reformat your code is right there under that code drop down, and it's Option Command L. So let's say all my code is sort of just against the wall, and then I hold down Option Command L, and it reformats my code. And comment with line comment, Command / that shortcut's really helpful. Surround with Option Command T. So if I want to wrap a bunch of code in something, so let's say I want all this to be inside of a div, Command Option T, Command Option T, surround it, and then div, right? And I've just wrapped it in a div. So I find that to be helpful. And you could have version control like GitHub right through you know, WebStorm. And so I'm going to delete this. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, but I bring up my terminal, and I could do my GitHub stuff right here. I'm in the GOLANG training folder. Or I could go right here, version control, and once it's set up, I come in here, and I recommend not having, you'll see this in a second, not to perform code analysis. And so this is a in class, terrible git commit message, in class Thursday, week 1. And so I could commit and push, and push. And so it just pushed all that up. And I'm going to delete my temporary folder, and I could do another commit, a deleted temp HTML file. And I could push that. And if I go to GitHub, anybody want to see this, or you know what you're going to see? If you want to see it, raise your hand. I go to GitHub and I go to my repositories and GOLANG training, and then look at my commits. Right, deleted temp HTML file in class Thursday week 1. Right, and so that's the file that got deleted. So all my commits are there. That's cool.
In Atom, I noticed that when you have it hooked up with GitHub, it'll actually have colors to tell you which lines are new and which one's different from your latest version. Can you do that with WebStorm too? It'll give you some color coding. Good.
Yeah, if yours doesn't, I have a setting somewhere different than or mine does than yours, so we could figure that out. These are the commands I really like, so I just highlighted them for you. You can look at them later. And then sometimes I'm like, what? What's that symbol? Oh, that's option. And then Atom. All right. So there's a little bit of a review. And that's everything we just covered. So, the end. Anybody have any questions?